For some time now, the political space has been dominated with stories of Mr. Peter Obi working for Abacha government. This is what they've been peddling on the social media to discredit the person of Mr. Peter Obi, that he worked for a corrupt Abacha government. Someone like Daddy Freeze went on Honest Bunch and said he stopped supporting Mr. Peter Obi when he realized that Peter Obi worked for the Abacha government. I mean, this is the same Daddy Freeze that was partying with a fraudster hush puppy. But that's a story for another day. But however, Mr. Peter Obi has given clarifications regarding that. He gave it during his interview on the channel's television, and then he took to his official X account to post document that shows that he never worked for the Abacha government. And this is what Mr. Peter Obi said. He said, "Our engagement with General Abacha, setting the record straight, in consonance with my established principles of defending everything I am involved in, and in the interest of all men and women of goodwill, especially those committed to the pursuit of truth, I hereby attach the letter which documents my co-opting, along with others, into the task force on the decongestion of the ports. As I stated during my interview at the weekend and consistently maintained in the past, I had never met General Sani Abacha before that encounter. Our meeting with him was born out of collective concern as traders and importers over the prolonged delays in clearing goods at the port. We approach him not as political actors, but as concerned citizens seeking pragmatic solution to a matter affecting economic activities and livelihood. Our intention was clear: to advocate for efficiency and to propose practical steps towards restoring normalcy in port operations for the benefit of the wider business community and ultimately the Nigerian economy. This clarification is offered in the interest of truth, to reaffirm that our actions were driven solely by a sense of civic duty and not political ambition. I don't expect this copious evidence to bury this Abacha case because the mischief makers have ulterior motive, but it is being placed in the public space for posterity and in line with my transparency pledge to Nigerians on any issue I'm involved in. P.O. Now you can see the document he attached. Just like Mr. Peter Obi said, he doesn't expect this evidence to bury that Abacha story because he knows that the people that are peddling these stories are mischief makers. They are just trying to be deflectionary. Mr. Peter Obi is so good that they have seeked for every form of corruption against him and they found none. The only thing they are sticking out their head now is that he worked for a corrupt government, Abacha. Why they are trying to focus on the fact that he worked for Abacha, a supposed corrupt leader, we will focus on the role Mr. Peter Obi played during Abacha regime. And that role is to decongest the Apapa port, and they did it in 2 weeks. Mr. Peter Obi and his team decongest Apapa port in 2 weeks as traders. Now let's analyze this and the document he provided. The document, issued by the Federal Ministry of Finance and signed by Alhaji Abu Gidago, the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, appoints Obi and several others as co-opted members of a task force on port decongestion. Obi's role was specifically tied to coordinating activities at Apapa Port. This wasn't a political appointment or a sign of allegiance to Abacha regime. Instead, it stemmed from a collective effort by traders and business owners, including Obi, who were frustrated by the crippling delays in clearing goods at the ports. These delays were choking economic activity and livelihood, prompting them to approach Abacha not as political sycophants, but as concerned citizens seeking practical solutions. Peter Obi's account aligns with the letter's intent to address a pressing economic issues. He emphasized in his expose that he had never met Abacha before this encounter and that their engagement was driven by civic duty, not political ambition. For 2 weeks, Obi diligently worked to decongest Apapa Port, showcasing his problem-solving skills as a businessman. If he could achieve that in such a short time under challenging circumstances, imagine the transformative impact he could have on Nigeria's port and the entire economy as president. This dedication reflects a meticulous nature, further evidenced by the fact that he kept this 29-year-old document. Contrast this with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose whereabouts of his birth certificate and school certificate remains a mystery, raising questions about his own record keeping and transparency. What we have here is a glaring double standard. There is a big elephant in the room and we need to address it. Now look at this picture of Bola Ahmed Tinubu standing alongside Abacha, a visual that suggests a closer association than Obi's brief documented role. Yet, the presidency and his mouthpiece are silent on Tinubu's connection, choosing instead to drag Obi through the mud. Why the selective outrage? The answer lies in distraction. This cheap Abacha narrative is a deliberate ploy to shift focus from the brazen corruption and ineptitude plaguing Tinubu's administration. Nigerians are grappling with economic hardship, insecurity, and governance failures. Yet the presidency will rather dredge on a 29-year-old story than address these pressing issues. Obi himself acknowledged that this evidence might not silence the mischief makers, who he believes have ulterior motive, but his decision to make it public aligned with his pledge of transparency, placing the truth in the hands of posterity. This stands in sharp contrast with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, who is even yet to address issues surrounding his state of origin, his birth certificate, and even his school certificate. There is something striking we must understand here. During Abacha regime, business associates like Mr. Peter Obi took the bold step of confronting the military leader to solve a problem. Abacha, for his part, allowed this input, indicating a willingness to engage with economic stakeholders. If you understand what a military rule is all about, you will know that most people are scared to go up to a military leader to challenge him regarding the problem in the society. They don't even dare confront a military leader. But Mr. Peter Obi, to show how fearless he is, he went to Abacha, confront him regarding a problem in the port. And Abacha saw their diligence, Abacha saw their bravery, and allowed them to solve that issue, of which they diligently did in 2 weeks. This is in sharp contrast to what we have today. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and other presidents have issued policies that have crippled the economy and affected the ordinary Nigerians. They have been able to push all these anti-people policies with no pushback from the people or business owners in Nigeria. For instance, till date, we are still having congestion problem in our port. The business owners in Nigeria could not even go before a president to challenge the president to solve the congestion problem in our port. Look at the high import duties that the customs are collecting on imported goods. Our importers could not even challenge the president on this outrageous fee, but they would rather keep quiet and put the burden on the final consumer. Look at the removal of fuel subsidy. Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed the fuel subsidy. There was no pushback from the business owners, but rather the people are the ones suffering the brunt of this removal of the fuel subsidy, while the business owners are making huge amount of money from it. Rather than challenge a president, they would rather find a way around it to make more money from it. We are talking about in a democracy, but look at what business owners did in a military regime. You cannot see the clear difference. And I wonder the kind of stories people paint about Abacha, for the fact that he listened to business owners, for the fact that he gave them an opportunity to contribute to the economy, means that most of the things you are hearing about Abacha may all be malicious. These are all cook-up stories to paint him as a bad person. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ever since he came into office, have been advised on several fronts on what to do to make the economy better, to make the life of the people better. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has never worked on any of those advice that has been given to him so far. Who is now better between him and a military junta, Sani Abacha? This level of hypocrisy is palpable. Tinubu's documented proximity to Abacha is overlooked, while Mr. Peter Obi's temporal solution-oriented role is twisted into a scandal. Obi's retention of that 1996 letter for nearly 3 decades speaks volumes about his character, meticulous, accountable, and forward-thinking. Tinubu's inability to produce basic personal documents, on the other hand, paints a picture of carelessness or concealment. If Obi could decongest a port in 2 weeks as a private citizen, his leadership as president could revolutionize Nigeria's infrastructure and economy. Meanwhile, the presidency focus on this outdated smear campaign only highlights its desperation to deflect from Tinubu's failure, to break the ranks of Mr. Peter Obi, it all shows that they are scared of the person of Mr. Peter Obi for the fact that they could not find any single corruption against him. Mr. Peter Obi has challenged them. If you can bring up a single anthem of corruption against my person, either in the corporate world or as a governor, I will stop campaigning. I will never run again for president. But they are yet to bring any anthem of corruption against him. But rather, they are feasting on a 29-year-old story that means absolutely nothing. This is to show you how untainted Mr. Peter Obi is. And I don't think there is any politician in this country that is as clean as Mr. Peter Obi. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.